Welcome, everyone, to this week's edition of the Commercial Real Estate 101 Meetup Group. Excited to see you all this fine afternoon. Today, we have a phenomenal guest. Wendy Mann, who's the CEO of CREW, is here today to talk a little bit about the organization, and we're going to dive into some of the nuances of how they help their members essentially continue to grow and expand within their career. And so we're really honored to have you, Wendy. Thanks again for taking your time today.
Happy to be here. Glad to share the message about CREW. And if you're at the beginning of your career, the middle of your career, or even senior level, there's something for everyone at CREW. So it's important to get that message out there.
Oh, yeah. No. We're really excited. And interestingly enough, I'm in the Louisville market. And so we recently had CREW established about a year ago. One of my good friends here, Krista Yaki, she actually kind of was one of the people who headed up the establishment of the organization here locally. And so, I've seen what they've done as far as building the reach here locally. And I thought it would be really cool to kind of just have, the senior level individual like yourself come in and talk a little bit about the organization, because most of the people who listen to our podcast are in the commercial real estate space, a lot of brokers. And so obviously I think they could benefit from the message. But, before we dive into the nuances, I kind of wanted to get a little a background on you. So if you don't mind telling us a little bit about yourself, kind of your background and what got you into CREW.
Okay. Well, sure. So I came to Washington, D.C. in 1987 and was anxious to find a job. And back then the market was kind of tight and I just had to take something, and ended up working for the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, which got me on this track. I thought I was going to be Barbara Walters. I got my degree in communications and I thought it was going to be in broadcast, but it turns out God had another plan, I guess. But I ended up in the U.S. Chamber of Commerce and I fell in love with the business world. I couldn't wait. I remember voraciously reading the Wall Street Journal every day. But that started me on the journey of understanding what membership organizations were and how vital they are in the fabric of our society. And from there, I went to association after association. These membership organizations, I don't know if people know this or not, but there's 80,000 of them in the United States. And so in DC, in Washington, DC, which is where I lived, it is the highest number of associations is in this market. So I was able to move. So I spent 40 years of my career here going from association to association. And what I did in my career, it was I took on more and more. So I started out doing fundraising, and then I took on communications, and then I did some work running in a foundation. And so my opportunities presented themselves in different organizations that had different industry focus. But I was the kind of learner that wanted to continually vary things and get to know more about. And so over the course of my career, I did a little bit, even government relations. I was a lobbyist at one point. So I had this really broad depth and breadth career in associations, and was able to bring to CREW, not the lobbying piece because we don't do that, but to bring to CREW the skills in membership, the skills in event planning, the skills in content development, publishing, all of those things. In addition to that, I was able to, I worked in a commercial real estate association before I came to CREW. And so I learned the business of commercial real estate. And so when I took this job, some of my board members then called me the double jackpot, because I have both the association membership management experience as well as the commercial real estate knowledge base that really enhanced what I could bring to the organization. So that's sort of my background and journey of how I came to be here. And this job, this role, and working with CREW has been one of the best experiences I've ever had in my career in terms of leadership and the purpose of why we exist.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that. And we had kind of referenced this a little bit offline, but I had a good friend of mine locally who was involved in establishing a CREW organization here in Louisville. And, I could see the work that they're doing here locally, and it's pretty phenomenal. The work that, and really just the mission of the organization to try to support women in commercial real estate. And so, kind of in that same vein, is there a way, could you describe maybe a high level overview of what CREW's mission or what CREW is, and then we'll kind of dive into a little bit about the nuances, like the programs that are offered, ways that people can get involved, and establishing chapters around the country, et cetera.
Sure. I like to keep it really simple. And so we have 4 pillars. There's 4 pillars to CREW. The first is we were founded first and foremost as a business network for women in commercial real estate, women who are doing deals and from start to finish. So anybody who is, from the land to the lease, if you will, and everybody in between. So our membership is multidisciplinary. And what that means is that you have the engineers, the designers, the lawyers, the financiers, the development people, corporate real estate, they're all represented in CREW. So that's why we like to say you can do a deal in CREW from start to finish. And our business network is 14,500 women strong now. And we have a digital platform that we call CREWBiz, which is the business networking platform. So we have taken all the networking you can do at our conventions or our leadership events and put them also online. So at any given time, you'll see someone post, I have a client who's looking for industrial space in Fort Worth. Can someone contact me about this? And so that's how women are doing business across the global network of CREW Network. So that's our first pillar. Second pillar is our leadership skills development. We want to accelerate the success of women. So we want women to have the skill sets and the leadership skills and be poised and ready for those positions when they come along. So we currently offer a leadership program, and we're in the process of creating a comprehensive cradle to grave leadership program that will launch in 2026. So we're really excited about that. Then the third is our research pillar. Our research is our benchmark study is every 5 years, and we are the only organization benchmarking the status of women and DEI in the commercial real estate industry. So that's one of the things we're well known for and that companies value from us. And then we do an annual research study every year. And this year we released our report was on women and AI in commercial real estate. So we're always doing something that's very timely and then doing the benchmarking every 5 years. And finally, our fourth pillar is career outreach. And my kind of mantra has always been, we can't promote women in commercial real estate or accelerate their success if we don't have them. So we have a dedicated effort through our foundation to conduct career outreach to women in the high school level to create awareness of opportunities and the job positions you can obtain. And then also at the university level, we have a program called CREW for university students who are making the transition from a student to professional level. So those are the 4 pillars. And then we do have a charitable foundation that, again, partners with us on all of those pieces as well.
Amazing. Yeah, it seems like a very comprehensive approach to trying to support the overall mission of the organization. Now, related to the benefits and also the value that your members achieve, you kind of alluded to, even the high school and university students that could get a little bit of an understanding of the industry. Could you elaborate a little bit on that? More so because we have our demographic that listens to the podcast tends to skew earlier to mid in their career. And so I've had, I don't know how many university students have reached out to me that have been interested in the commercial real estate industry that were just seeking advice about, how to get in and just some of the early stages of progression within their career. So getting some context as far as ways that you all support the university students in particular could be of value. And then we'll dive a little bit more into the professional side of things.
Okay, that's great. It's great to hear that there's that interest and they found a place. So what CREW is hosted by our local chapters. We have 83 chapters in North America who are currently doing career programs. The CREW program is we go into the university, the chapter leaders go into the university and establish a relationship with the professor. And what that's about is typically it's either a half day or full day program where women who are in commercial real estate will talk to you about how to network, how to interview, how to prepare for interviews. And so it's all of those things that you really don't learn in school, but you need to know as you're making that transition. And they give you an education and help you understand, where your interest and expertise lies, how you transition that into a particular position. So if you're interested in detail-oriented work, it's, you might be interested in asset management or property management, something like that. Or, if you really have strength in the number side and the financial side, you might want to do financial transactions. You might want to do loans, those kinds of things. So that university program is really a way to establish a connection with the local chapter that can help support you as you make that transition, but also teach you the professional skills as you're going out to do interviews and preparing for those interviews. And they'll provide or turn you on to the resources that are available through CREW Network that we want, because we want more young women to be leveraging CREW Network as a opportunity.
Absolutely, yeah. And you alluded to a variety of different career fields. That's one of the things that I feel like the individuals that reach out to me and other people that have been on the podcast. We get people that have mentioned that other university students and young professionals in their career have reached out to the different speakers that we've had on. And a big, thing that particularly people who have not been in the business is they may not know that there's all these different opportunities out there.
Right.
It's not just brokerage. You can do capital
Yeah.
markets, you can get into property management, you can get into
Right.
development, you can get into all these different nuances. And it's such a wide ranging industry that sometimes, unless you really get granular into it and have these types of opportunities where you have these professionals that can come in and speak to you and just have a sounding board almost for you to be able to determine what route you want to take, you just don't know. And so, I'm thankful that you're able to kind of share some insights about what you all offer, because hopefully this spurs some individuals that are listening to this podcast to start doing a little bit more research and saying, oh, is there a local CREW organization in my market? You mentioned there's 83 chapters around the country. I know one that we just established here in Louisville was about a year or two old, and it's been growing like a weed. So it's one of those things where hopefully this helps to continue to expand the network in that regard.
One other resource, since you mentioned that there's interest in that young women need more understanding about what might be available out there, I would love to mention a career website that the commercial real estate associations have come together and actually created a career website. It's called careersbuildingcommunities.org. So if you can go into your browser now and put in careersbuildingcommunities.org, and you'll find on that, which is really cool, it's an interactive website that will ask you questions. It has gamification to test out, you'll answer a series of questions and it'll say to you, based on the answers you've given, you would be great in commercial real estate finance, or giving your answers, you would be great in interior design. So it's a really great tool. And then it'll take you through and teach you about what a day in the life of an interior designer is, or a day in the life. So I encourage you, if you haven't stumbled upon that yet, it's a great way to learn more about the variety of careers available to people, and particularly women in commercial real estate.
That's amazing. We'll make sure to include that in the description below. Okay. If you guys are watching this on YouTube, or if you're listening to this in a podcast format like Spotify or Apple Podcasts, we'll make sure it's in the description as well. But, switching gears slightly to the professional side of things, another contingent of our listenership is, like I said, early to mid, and we also get people later in their career as well, regarding providing a value proposition for those individuals. Could you kind of explain or maybe harp on some of the value that you see members that weren't previously in the organization to then now they've entered the organization, and what value do they have from that? So
well, yes, and I'll hit on probably three things. The first thing that I hear repeatedly for women that have come to CREW, and many of them say this, it's transformative. It's changed their career, because they're getting more business than they ever got before, because they're building this network. And the network has, whether or not the person you meet is the one you end up working with, by building your network, you're building people who can say and refer to you, hey, there's, you're looking for XYZ. Oh, I met, Susie last week, and she's looking to partner with someone. So it's all about the deal making and finding people to partner with. And so, and with lawyers, I mean, I've had lawyers say, I built my entire book of business starting out in my career through CREW Network contacts. That's the kind of business basis we want to really establish with women, to know is that when you walk into CREW, you're meeting tons of other people who are looking for other women to work with in this industry. And in any local market in North America where we have a chapter, you can get that. So first is that the building that network and establishing a basis for your career and becoming a known partner in the marketplace is really important. And we help facilitate that. And that is one of the biggest things where women have said it has transformed their life, in their professional life. So that is first. The second thing is the leadership skills development. So many women, especially on the younger side of their career, it's a hard business for young women in the sense that it's historically male dominated, which we're still in evolution of commercial real estate as sort of a laggard in women coming into the business and establishing high level, senior level. I've seen great progress, I think, in the diversity and the number of women that I see in commercial real estate from my experience over the past 8 years, but we still have a ways to go. And so one of the things we talk a lot about is helping young women build confidence, giving them the leadership skills and the understanding of organizational communication and how to navigate through some of the things that they'll face. And then we also partner with other organizations that have more of an expertise in either property management or finance that can help us build the knowledge base that you need. And that's part of what our new leadership learning journey program is going to be about. It's what do you need to know when you're an emerging leader in commercial real estate? What do you need to know at mid-level? And how can CREW help you build those skill sets and give you that foundation that's going to position you well for the next level in your career? So that's very important. And the third thing that is, I think, one of the really valuable things about CREW is that no matter what industry meeting or event you go to, there's typically a group of CREW women there. So you're never alone when you're in a field of blue suits. This is what I hear from others. So I'm in a field of blue suits, but I find my CREW people. And knowing that there are others there that you can network with and that can make introductions for you is also a really great benefit. And so typically, at an ICSC meeting, CREW has a booth and we have a presence and social opportunities there. If you go to NMHC, we have a presence there now. So we're building these relationships with other industry organizations that deal with particularly the niche areas of the industry. And we're bringing CREW Network women together at those events too. So I think those are really great values that you get out of being part of CREW.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. And I could speak to it from the brokerage side, and again, I have a little bit different perspective, but I would say it's probably similar in that what I've seen in the brokerage space, and I'm not sure if it's the same in development and property management. It's, to your point, it's somewhat male dominated, but it's also kind of closed off. So
Yeah.
usually
Yeah.
when you're getting into the business, unless you have a pre-existing relationship with these individuals who are already established in the firm, oftentimes there is some form of
Yeah.
clickness or alienation sometimes that take place. And it's not by, I don't know if it's done maliciously. It's just more so just it just happens. And
Yeah.
I think one of the challenges that the brokerage community faces, at least, is the first few years in brokerage are rough. They're very tough, just naturally. And so if you can overcome the first few years in the business, usually you have staying power and you're able to stick around for the longer period of time. And so, I obviously it's great that you guys are able to provide individuals who are able to kind of create these networks of, and not only for business but also support and being able to talk about the struggles that are faced in the business. And so I really do value that insight you shared. So
Yeah. And you make a good point on going into brokerage. Brokerage, I love because it's a very entrepreneurial career path. And so if you are an entrepreneurial, self-motivated, it can be very lucrative and you really are your own boss in a way to make as much money as you want. But those first few years are difficult because if it's mostly, I think it's 100% commission in commercial real estate. And so you have to undertake that with that knowledge. But I want to say to women, don't not do it because of that, because if you can find a way to support yourself or, find a way to make it work long term, if that's your skill set and you can do that, it can be a really great opportunity. And so we're seeing more and more women. In fact, in our last benchmark study, the only female a statistic that went up was women in brokerage. And I think it went up from 26% to 29%. And we were happy to see that growth. So there's that.
that's awesome. No, that's great to hear that, and I hope it continues to improve over the next coming years. So you had kind of alluded to some of the conferences and different events that are put on by CREW. I was wondering if you could elaborate a little bit more on that. So regarding the more consistent annual or quarterly events, if you could share some of that, and then also your involvement in showcasing at different larger events like the ICSC, the National Multifamily Housing Conference, that sort of thing. I think that'd be helpful for people just to kind of see if there's opportunities for them to be able to attend some of those events.
Yeah, sure. So CREW right now, CREW has 3 leadership summits every year. And so we do something in February, June, and prior to the convention in September in our fall meeting. And those are a smaller, it's sort of like someone has described it as it's a very cost-effective way to dip your toe into a CREW event to see what you think at the global level. And I should have said that at the beginning. We are a global organization. We have members in 15 countries now. We're just starting our expansion in Europe. We have a chapter in the UK, an affiliate in France, but we also have 7 chapters in Canada, and we have a recently approved chapter in Mexico City. So we've come a long way in terms of that. So there's more of a global approach. But the reason I bring that up is because there is something in your local market for you, and I encourage you to dip your toe into your local market. But if you really are working in a national or global scale, CREW Network gives you the opportunity to cross-pollinate at these leadership meetings and at the convention. So the leadership meetings, maybe 450 women. We do 2 leadership training programs, then we do some work on local leadership kind of things. So it's like I said, great networking. That because it's smaller, you get to these conventions where it's thousands of people, and sometimes it's hard. That's one of the things that I've heard from attendees that they really like and I encourage students to dip your toe at the local level at a chapter event, but also think about if you see a CREW global event in your neighborhood, please think about joining us there. It's just a really great opportunity to meet women from around the country and North America. And I think that's the thing, is that everything that's happening in commercial real estate in your local markets can be elaborated on by attending a global CREW Network event, because you're going to meet someone from Seattle who's seeing something new or different or innovative that you might not have seen yet in your market. So you're going to learn about the industry cross-pollinating across local markets like that. And then the convention, which is our sort of key event every year. We have about 14,000 people attend. We were just in Vancouver 2 weeks ago. It is a combination of really focus more on industry content. So our leadership training and development is really mostly in our summits. But our industry content, we had, I think, 24 breakout sessions across the different aspects of commercial real estate. We have 4 mega sessions, which typically tend to be higher level speakers on bigger topics. Like we had someone doing AI. We do 1 leadership topic there. We also do what we call conversation corners, which are more a facilitated conversation so people can learn from each other. I'm doing this in construction. What are you doing? Or, so there's those. So we like the diversity and the choice, so you can really build your own journey of learning when you come to one of our conventions. And then again, the other thing is our networking, which is again paramount as a business pillar for us, the business network. We have facilitated networking throughout the convention. So we have a coffee talk session, or where you can go and meet, just show up and meet other people in the coffee talk. We also do a reception, and then we have a foundation event. We do a fundraiser to support our foundation, which is typically a really fun party. So you always have to have one fun party at your convention. That's ours. And then we have our keynote speakers, who we typically have an economist, from a real estate economist, that can give us the business side of what's happening. And then we have an inspirational and typically someone else who's a leader in their field. So it's a wide variety, and it's a really moving parts, but you get to make it. And then we have learning excursions that we do that are going to visit projects and learn about what has transpired and how they got. Some are hard hat tours, some are post lease tours, but there's always ways to understand and learn about the local market we're in from the development side of the business, and so we do that as well.
That's amazing. Yeah, no, we actually had so I'm part of the CCIM organization here locally, and we actually had a combined event with CREW last year. There's a big battery plant development here for Ford in Elizabethtown, and we had a joint event where we went down there and we did the whole site tour. We had the some gentleman affiliated with the economic development cabinet for that local municipality that drove us around on this bus and kind of explained how the project was put together, and some of the economic impact and as a result of the development and what type of jobs they're going to be bringing to the area and how that's going to impact broader developments. And they even shared at the end, they're like, hey, these are the uses that we're dying to get. So obviously daycares are going to be big because there's going to be new people coming to town. There's multifamily developments that are going to be needed. And so they're like, if you know anyone who wants to do this, or you yourself are a developer that wants to get involved in some way, let's have conversations. So it opens up those other opportunities for people to eventually potentially generate business from. So very smart way to approach the process. And obviously you can do that on a local level and obviously on a larger level as well.
Yeah. And that's great. A lot of our local chapters, that's part of their repertoire as well, that they do the project tours. So I think it's a great way to learn in this business, seeing it as it's being built and or the vision for it. It's always, to me, it's one of the things I love about CREW is that it's not just about women in the business, but it's about the business itself. And we can learn so much from each other and our own experiences and building communities. One of the big areas of interest right now that we have within our membership is affordable housing, which is a big issue everywhere. And then, we're building our special interest groups around industrial multifamily housing. We have an office council. So there's other ways you can connect and really build relationships to do deals and to learn and grow with each other. And I think that's become a very popular value and benefit of our organization as well.
That's phenomenal. That's great. So one thing I'm curious about is, let's say that there's someone listening to this podcast that they're maybe located in a market that doesn't have a local organization for CREW. They obviously associate with the mission and they're really passionate about trying to bring that organization to their local market. What steps can they take to establish their own local chapter so that they can continue to perpetuate the mission?
That's great. And I'm happy to talk about that. And Louisville is one of the best examples. There was a woman who joined CREW because she wanted to be part of the organization, and she was the lone person from Louisville. And so she said, when she came to a couple of meetings, she's like, how can I build this? And what formation looks like is if you are in a local market where there isn't a CREW Network chapter, what you need to do is find three other women that want to help build a chapter there. And so we call that the formation team. We have 4 people who are the champions of building a CREW chapter. And then you would approach CREW and say, we have people that want to help build. We do a debrief with you on what the market's like, what the potential and opportunity is to make sure that there's growth potential there. And there's a person on my staff on our team, Jenny Weisenbach, who is devoted to chapter development. That's one of her responsibilities. And she's been with us a long time. She knows everything about this, and she actually helps guide the local leaders into formation. But there are some requirements. You have to have 30 members join as an at-large member. So everybody starts as an at-large member of CREW Network. And then once you have enough people to meet the 30 person requirement, then you can go through getting together the articles of incorporation to incorporate as a chapter. That comes before the board to be approved and becomes before the delegate council. And once it's all approved, you're officially a chapter. So it typically takes anywhere from 12 to 18 months. It's, because everybody has a real job. So people are working on this on the side, and that's fine. We don't expect it to happen overnight, but we have right now, we've grown. We just approved in 2024 alone. We approved 6 new chapters. So we are in growth mode, more so than we've ever been. And Jenny on my staff told us at our staff meeting the other day, the last time we had 6 chapters approved in 1 year was 1999. And so it's been a while. So we got established, and we were sitting around 68 to 70 chapters for many, many years. And we have been getting more, and because we've become more proactive in reaching out to local communities, but also we are more being discovered as well. And maybe that's partially due to our reputation and brand. It's partially due to social media. But there's some very easy ways, and we are with you every step of the way if you want to establish a chapter in your local market.
That's great. Yeah, I know. And I think, to your point, and first off, kudos to you guys for being able to get the 6 last year. That's amazing. And hopefully that trend continues. And, I think a big part of it is these types of conversations, just letting people know about it, because, quite frankly, I didn't really even know much about the organization until my friend, like I had mentioned, Krista, who who established the one of the people who established the chapter here locally to Louisville, kind of, told me a little bit about it, and I started doing more research on it. And I said, this is a great organization. There's a lot of value here, and the message needs to be put out there for people to really be able to, benefit. So I appreciate your willingness to come on the show and kind of share that information as well. So.
Yeah, well, and one of the big things I'd like to share for any of the real estate companies out there is to that point about value is this isn't just a value for the individual, it's a value for the company. And we need the companies to be investing in women, supporting them with membership dollars, paying their dues, paying for them to attend leadership development programs as well as the convention, because they're going to be enriched and bring so much more back to their companies and be able to do more for the company once they're out and having these experiences, building these relationships. It's sort of a domino effect. Like the company's eyes need to be open, the women's eyes are open, and then there's so much more that gets brought back into the company in terms of growth opportunity, business deals. Like that to me is this win-win. There's value for women individually, professionally, but the win-win for the company is you're getting people that are going to bring so much back. The ROI in the company is going to go high. So invest in your women and you'll get so much more out of the people that you're training up and developing. And it can't be more important right now as there's so much competition for talent. Keep your talent. I tell CEOs this all the time. You keep your talent by investing in your talent. You don't want to lose good people because you're too stingy with your development dollars, or you don't see the value, or honestly, there's some CEOs who don't view CREW as a value. And to them, I would say, learn about us first, and secondly, there's more deals getting done at CREW than probably all the other organizations combined, because we have the multidisciplinary aspect, and our growth is extending beyond the borders. And so there's a lot going on here that maybe it's new to you. So I encourage people who are watching, check us out today, because the organization that we are today really is building the future female leaders for the industry. And that talent's important, and developing that talent is your greatest opportunity.
Yeah, no, I appreciate the announcement regarding that, because you're right. I think that any organization that wants to have longevity and provide value long term has to invest in their people, and being able to do this is imperative for long term success of the organization. It's just good business. Outside of
business, that's exactly right.
Outside of just the whole, the nuance of it, it really just is good business. So you should really consider moving forward and trying to support those individuals who are within your organization, who are not only adding value currently, but could provide amplified value going forward. So
exactly. There's a cartoon that was going around LinkedIn not long ago that was a CFO sitting down with the CEO to talk about their budget, and was complaining about all the training costs. And the CEO says to the CFO, what if we don't spend the money, and because the CFO is saying, well, what if we invest in these people and they leave? And the CEO says, well, what if we don't and they stay? And that's
100%.
that's a crux of it, right? So support your people, get them training and development, get them connected. I can't tell you, like, our business is relationship business. That. So, there's ways that you can leverage CREW that go beyond just we're a women's organization. It's so much more than that.
Yeah, no, I could not agree more, and I appreciate that feedback. So now that we've kind of provided some context to what the organization is like, some of the events that are available, and even those individuals who want to get involved or maybe establish their own chapter, where do you see the next 5 to 10 years going for CREW? What are some of the what is your vision for where you want to take the organization, so that you go from where you are currently to the sky, or the the sky's the limit at that point?
Well, it's so let me say this. It's the board's vision for this organization is to be the preeminent organization in commercial real estate that is developing and helping women, our purpose, which is to accelerate the success of women. So that's our big picture goal. How we're doing that and what we have in progress, where we see ourselves. First of all, the leadership program that we're developing will be uniquely developed toward commercial real estate. So there'll be commercial real estate finance, there'll be commercial real estate asset management. There'll be regular leadership topics, but there'll be things that are also specific, so it can be unique to us. And so I think that companies can look at, and it's a cradle to grave, which means from the beginning of your career to the end of your career. Even if you're in the C-suite, anyone in the C-suite knows you're still learning every day of your life when you're in the C-suite. And if you stop learning, that's when you stop growing and you stop being effective. So I think that it's this leadership learning program is something that's really going to position us well for the future of really developing the future leaders for companies. And I think that then we become a talent pool, we become a career pool for companies. And I think there's real opportunity in that for the future, for companies partnering with CREW to get that designing programs specifically for companies as well. So that's an opportunity that we're working on, and that as we go into launching in 25, delivering in 26 and beyond, will be really important. And then secondly, one of the things we established, we launched in 2021 or 2022, probably 22, was our CREW councils. And what that is enabling us to do is to dig deeper in our organization and bringing people together in a more intentional environment to grow together. So the councils, what we have is you have individuals from every discipline that can participate within a deal. So a council isn't made up of everyone who's in multifamily or everyone who's in finance. It's a council that's industrial, where you have someone who does the industrial land development. Continuing to grow. And I think that's what's going to be a really big value going down the road. We'll have 15 by next year, and we're growing that. Usually 3 or 4 a year are added. And then the third thing is the robustness of our global expansion is happening much quicker than we thought it would, and it's going really well. So I would say that our vision for the future is to build out our North American chapter structure. Like I said, we cover most of Canada and US right now. We're getting into, we have one company in one chapter in Mexico City, but we just got a call out of the blue from Costa Rica. A group of women in Costa Rica said, "Hey, we heard about you," and that's how it happens. Truly, there was a group of women saying, "We need to get together and do stuff together." And someone in their company, it was a Cushman and Wakefield gentleman, was talking to his colleague in Costa Rica and said, "Oh, you should link up with CREW. They would help you form this, and you can become part of this global network." So we're seeing growth there. One of our big markets really is, and market opportunity, is Europe. And so we're facilitating that in Ireland. CREW UK just became a chapter after 5 years of, building out their group. They have nearly 100 members in that chapter, which is small by some standards, but that's how you grow, right? So we have chapters at CREW who are 50 people. We have chapters at CREW who are 700 or 800 people. So we're still in growth mode in that regard. But I think the global expansion, why that matters is because CREW is bringing something to other cultures and other places that need and are hungry for that connection, that connectivity, that learning, that opportunity and camaraderie that CREW Network brings wherever we go. And I think that's one of the gifts we can bring out to countries or continents like Europe or down into Central America. And so that, I think, and it enriches all of us, right? It's not just that it's over there, it's we're constantly, and I'll tell you, I'm always so interested. Europe and Asia are always ahead of commercial real estate in what they're doing and what they're thinking and the innovations, and especially on the sustainability side. And so for me, I look at that and think how much richer we're going to be in terms of our knowledge and intel when we bring together groups from across continents like that. And I think it's short-sighted to think about CREW as, oh, I only do business in my local market, so I don't really care about what's going on globally. But if you really try this experience and meet with women from other countries, you see that you're going to learn from them, and you're going to look good when you go back to your company or your chapter, because you're going to bring something that no one's ever heard of, or an idea that somebody's practiced in some other location outside the boundaries of the U.S. or outside the boundaries of Canada. It's just that cross-pollination. It just enriches everything we do. So I think those are three big areas that I see as growth and opportunity, and that everyone can engage in from the membership. So we have 500 members. We want to have all of those folks engaged, whether it's attending something, participating in a council, receiving an award, or simply being part of the online Crew Biz open forum where ideas and connections and deals are being exchanged every day.
That's amazing. No, I appreciate the vision for the expansion of the network throughout the world. And my background, I'm half Puerto Rican, and I work a lot with the Latin community here in Louisville. And I've worked not only just on my local market, but also in different states nearby. And I can tell you from my personal experience, the amount of growth and opportunity in just the Latin community. And obviously I'm talking just here in maybe my local market, but you talk about South America, you talk about Central America. I mean, it's an unbelievable amount of growth that is going to take place over the next 5 to 10 years. And that's going to transfer into the commercial real estate industry. So you have the brokerage communities, the appraisers, the developers, all these other, webs of individuals that can grow from there. And it's going to create a lot of opportunity and jobs. And hopefully through that network that you guys are going to be establishing in these marketplaces, now people can capitalize and benefit their families over a longer period of time. And so,
exactly.
I think it's awesome. I think it's great. So
thank you.
Yeah.
That's very additive. Thank you for sharing that, because I find that myself as well. And I will say this, I think women are hungry in our industry and probably in others as well. But in our industry, when I go to Europe, women are hungry to have that connection, and their culture is very different there than the United States. So when we talk about forming, most recently we're working on Memphis, and women in the U.S. where someone says, "Will you do X, Y, Z and help form this group?" We put our hand up. Culturally, it's different in Europe, but once they experience it, I just had a woman say to me, she was attending a real estate conference, Expo Real in Germany. And she emailed me, and she's one member we have in Ireland. And she said, "I'm at Expo Real. It's a sea of blue suits. Can you tell me if there are any other Crew Network members here?" So I emailed all the women that I knew that typically attend those conventions and conferences in Europe with her on the email. In the span of 10 minutes, she had 5 women say, "I'll meet up with you. I'll meet up with you. I'll meet up with you." And that's the global thing that matters, that they're looking for and wanting to say, "Hey, I'm here alone as a onesie in this big conference filled with men. I'd love to find some other women that we can connect." And they all got together more than once during the course of that conference. So that's that piece that I see helping women in a global market, that because the culture might be a little different as well, there may be a little bit more reticence to be as forward as as forward as we are in the US of just reaching out to one another. But it matters. And I think that's a gift that we can spread around, of that inclusiveness, the ability to influence in a market, the ability, those are our core values, is building trust among our members, building inclusivity, influence. Those are some of the things that we really have as our core values that we can bring throughout the commercial real estate industry.
Definitely. Well, thanks for sharing that additional insight regarding that. That was very valuable. So one thing we typically do at the end is we like to give people an opportunity to ask any particular questions they have. We have a few people online right now, and then obviously going forward, once this goes live and we push it out on all different social platforms, I'm sure there'll be some commentary as well. And obviously, if there's any particular questions that obviously I'm not going to be able to answer, I can direct them directly to you and your team to support that
That would be
well.
great.
So.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah, we'll give it about a minute ahead of time, just to allow people to provide some commentary in the chat box. But in the meantime, one question I like to ask near the end of the discussion is, is there a question or maybe a topic that you wish I would have covered throughout this conversation that maybe I didn't touch on?
Well, I think maybe the other thing that we didn't talk about is that Crew Network is also an incubator for developing your own leadership through participating as a leader in a chapter role as a committee chair or a board member, or once you have some experience under your belt and you feel like you're ready, applying for participation on a global network committee or a global network board position. What we sort of celebrate is the success of other women through our awards, but we also celebrate the ability that we have by participating in leadership, active leadership in a chapter or active leadership in the global organization, that you are developing something that can go on your resume that's going to teach you the skills of how to serve on a board. And granted, we're not a corporate board, but we operate similar. And so you'll learn some of those skills. So not only are we asking you to come and join us and participate and engage in all the things we do, but we're offering for you to receive leadership skills and development from your volunteer service as part of our organization.
That's amazing. Thanks for sharing that. I wish I appreciate you doing that, because we should have harped on or referenced that within the discussion as well, because to your point, that's a very important piece of the puzzle, is that, not only are you getting involved in an organization for the network, but it's also an opportunity for you to get involved and develop those leadership skills to be involved on the board level leadership. And then obviously, if you want to go on a national scale, then it's very applicable and beneficial for people. So I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Well, Wendy, I think you answered all the questions that we had. First off, I just really want to thank you for your time. I know you're very busy, and obviously we appreciate the insights you shared today. Now, typically what we do at the end of the podcast is we like to ask, how can people get in contact with you or your team, if they have any particular questions or they want to learn more about the organization, maybe getting involved on the leadership front. What are some of the best ways to be able to connect?
Well, I would say go to our website and poke around there and see what interests you. And there's staff connection on each webpage for any of the things. So if you go to councils, you'll see a webpage for that. If you go to the join page, there's always a personal staff contact there. So you can contact each staff member directly that oversees the area that you might be interested in. And we're on social media, very active on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. So follow us, join us. That'll help give you a little dip your toe in some of the conversations that are happening. And then finally, I always say to people, take that first step, give us a try, see what you feel. It's really eye-opening. And I think you'll be pleasantly surprised about how warm and welcoming CREW is, but also how business-oriented we are and how we can make a difference for your career and your professional life.
Yeah. So we're going to leave it with a call to action. So if you guys are watching this and you want to get involved in the organization in some capacity, please take advantage of what Wendy has just said. And if you guys are listening to this and you run your own organization, you own your own company and you want to invest in your people, this is a great opportunity for you guys to take advantage of that and invest in CREW and invest in your members or your employees and your colleagues to be able to go to these organizations to be able to benefit from the leadership training and network that's generated from those opportunities. So, Wendy, thank you so much for your time. I really do appreciate it. And we'll make sure to include all the links that she referred to in the show notes as well. So if you guys are watching this on YouTube, go ahead and go in the description. You'll be able to access it. And along with that, if you guys are listening to Spotify or Apple Podcasts, we'll do the same. So
thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Absolutely, Wendy. We greatly appreciate everything you do and the mission of the organization. If you guys are watching this on YouTube, please subscribe. It makes a big impact on our ability to reach a broader audience. Along with that, if you guys are watching this or listening to this in a podcast format, please leave a 5-star review. It does make a great impact on our ability to reach a broader audience, and we obviously greatly appreciate the support. So thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll see you all next time.
Thanks.